Hello, survivors. It's me, Brian Hazard, your ever eager explorer of all games narrative. And today we pick up where we left off with the Outcast. So this is session 2. And as a refresher, where we left off, our hero, Elyd, had arrived at Rock Island and was looking to sort of reprovision himself because he left the mainland in a hurry. And while he was there, he came across a cultist named Ednis, who he didn't know was up to no good at the time. But she offered, hey, come with me. I can help you get what you need. Took him sort of to a private area, and it turned out that she was whatever that evil force is that's associated with the Ruination. She worships that being, that entity. And she wanted to take Elyd as a sacrifice to this evil spirit. Now, eventually, Elyd overcame Ednis by knocking over a ladder that she was on, and she was knocked unconscious. But laying there still, she started to whisper in sort of a disembodied, ghostly voice. And it was revealed that this entity speaking through her claims that the prevailing power in this world has actually been deceiving everyone. They don't actually want to persecute followers of Pogwat, but rather they want to make it seem like the naughty thing to do, like reverse psychology. And so they're persecuting followers sort of in a feigned way so that it seems like a rebellious choice to follow Pogwat. And so the implication there is that perhaps it is not this Ruination that is evil, but perhaps it's Pogwat that's evil. We don't know yet. But anyway, what happens next? Let's find out. I'm thinking that this idea sort of stirred Elyd, and he's devoted, so his faith isn't shaken, but he is determined to get to the bottom of everything. So as we could see here on the player sheet, we have Elyd is a devoted adherent to Pogwatism. The harbor master is his ally. He can find wind currents like no other, so he could sail, and he's determined to stop Pogwatist persecution. Snags that he's facing: he can no longer feel Pogwat's presence. He's recently came into wealth. Now everyone wants something, and he feels the Dark Lord's presence always. So there we go. Now, if we switch back to the tabletop here, I'm thinking let's go back to the main world map. So here we are now on Rock Island here. And I think that maybe he set sail with Ednis. So he is trying to get over to a port. So I'm gonna add a new settlement, which is going to be a port city. Yeah, that seems pretty cool. And Hope Hall is going to be over here near this river. So he's trying to go over there, but he's taken Ednis with him because he demands answers. And we need some kind of a conflict here. I'm going to roll for my conflict. So let's get the dice here, and the left will be light and the right will be dark, and we're going to re-roll all. Boom. 5 and 5. So our oracle says that on a 5-5 peace and water. I'm going to do how peaceful is this water? So I'm going to do the higher, the more peaceful. So we roll that and we get a 5. So it is dead still, to the point that, he can always find the wind currents. There are none. And he knows this because he's such an avid sailor. So he's like, what is going on here, right? Why is it that there are no wind currents? So he's absolutely stuck now, and Ednis has started to come to consciousness, and she says, "The winds are still. The ruination is coming for you. I can feel it. It's almost upon us." And Elyd says, "Quiet you." But as he looks back over his shoulder to say that, he sees on the horizon somehow a ship is approaching. It doesn't make sense because they have their sails are full, and yet there is no wind current to be found, and they're coming fast. So let's see what happens now. What should Elyd do? Well, we know that the winds are completely still, so he can't try to like sail away. Does he have any choice but to see what this is? I don't think he does. So he just has to stay put until they're upon him. So the next question is, what is the nature of these things that are coming upon him? So if we go back to the book and we go back to Oracle 3 and we roll there, we get a 2-5 strength, 1-4 strength air. Well, we kind of know, like I said, they're being propelled by this wind current that he can't find. I think these are some kind of wind spirits. So I'm just going to describe the scene. I kind of skipped that in the game, so let's get to that in the framing a scene. So where are we? We're on the water. Who's here with you? Right now, Ednis, but also there's some fast approaching ship that appears to have wind spirits either on board or on its side. What do you want here? Well, I think there's two things. Elyd wants answers about what was revealed to him in the last scene about Pogwat and Ruination. And what else? He also wants to get to that port city so that he can try to stop the awakened Ruination. What's stopping him from getting it? The winds are just completely dead. And how can you get what you want? I think my only choice is to convince these wind spirits that I'm on the right side and that they need to support me. Okay. But Ednis said Ruination is coming. So perhaps she has reason to believe that the wind spirits are on her side, the side of Ruination. Okay, at least two senses, I think. Obviously, like briny smell of salt water on the air, which is like all the more noticeable because the wind and the waves are not kicking up. So it almost smells like stagnant all of a sudden. And utter silence. Okay, so now these wind spirits come upon me rapidly, and they're going to speak with a very whispery tone because they are indeed wind spirits. There seems to be nothing on board. In fact, the ship itself is like translucent and just suggestive of a ship. It's like wind that you can somehow see. It's the impression of a ship. And he can see these forms, these beautiful creatures. They're not really male nor female, nor are they something different. They are just gorgeous beings that are fully transparent and yet fully visible as well. You are the one says, "It is not my interest to reawaken the one you call the Ruination. It is my interest to put him back to his slumber, for I am a worshipper of Pogwat." And at this, I think the wind spirits recoil.
Pogwat is the diminisher of all natural things. Pogwat is our mortal enemy.
Your mortal enemy, you say? How can that be? Pogwat has long been the giver of all things to my people. It was only through natural disaster that Pogwatism came to an end and the mighty temples of Pogwat were destroyed.
Exactly how do you think the natural disasters befell Pogwat? The gifts that you so valued were at the expense of the very world on which you depend. Had Pogwat been able to continue, it would have meant the very destruction of the soils that you stand on, the air that you breathe, and the waters that you sail. We, the mighty nature spirits, destroyed the temples of that island you call Pogwat. We shook the earth. We blew down its walls, and we swallowed those temples in the mighty waters of this ocean.
Elyd is taken aback. You say that the gifts of Pogwat, the plentiful bounty of food and luxury and wonderful, comfortable existence, you say was at the expense of nature. But how do you mean?
Your people, the Pogwatists of ancient times, raped and pillaged our world. They pulled the very essence of nature from deep in the chasms of minds. They refined it into unholy and unnatural manifestations, and they applied it to a dominance over nature that is wholly unnatural and unworthy of life. This is how your people achieved dominance over this planet, and it had to stop. By awakening Ruination, you have saved the planet and in turn saved all of your people. We will assist you in completing his full reawakening, or we will destroy you to stop you from bringing him back to his slumber. What is your choice?
Well, Elyd is shaken to his very core, I think. The winds don't sound friendly, and he's starting to feel skeptical because he is, after all, a devoted follower of Pogwat. He's starting to feel skeptical that perhaps these wind spirits aren't what they seem. But on the other hand, he has to admit that their planet is much more lush than is recounted in the ancient stories. And perhaps that has something to do with the fact that Pogwatism was marginalized. I'm going to do sort of a reverse role here. I'm curious to see if these arguments by these wind spirits has had an effect on our hero Elyd. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll, and if the black die is higher, Elyd has been convinced that his beliefs are in error. And if the light die is higher, then he is going to stick by his core beliefs that have shaped him into the man he is. So we're going to reroll, and the dark die is higher. So it's a barely higher. So he remains a little skeptical, but he is actually convinced that perhaps he has all along been incorrect about the nature of Pogwat. So what does he decide to do? He makes a plea to the wind spirits. I believe what you have to say, at least tentatively, until I have evidence one way or another. I believe you to be sincere. But you must understand that many of the followers that have emerged since the reawakening of what you call the Ruination have very misguided ideas about what that being must be. Indeed, the very name Ruination seems to imply something evil and corrupt.
Yes, Ruination is not the true name of the god of nature. It's a poor translation by humans like yourself.
Elyd looks over at Ednis and says, this poor misguided soul was going to sacrifice me in some profane display of worship to the Ruination.
The Ruination never was such a thing. You are the Ruination's savior.
And so Elyd says, what must I do to complete the Ruination's full reawakening? And what will the impact be to my people? Okay, let's do a roll. And we have a 5-1. And we're going to take a peek at the oracles to see a 5-1 time. And we're going to re-roll another roll. 3-1. So we've got time, protection. Okay. I know what this is. The wind spirits say,
left to his own devices, Ruination is mighty enough to complete his own reawakening. You need not do anything.
Elyd says, well, then why have you asked for my help, and why have you offered to assist me? What task could you assist me in?
Even now, the armies of your king march toward Opal, toward the temple where you reawakened our mighty god of nature. You must stand in their way, for if you do not, they will destroy our only hope of saving the planet on which your kind thrives.
But I am only a man. I cannot hope to stand against an entire army. How could you possibly offer an assistance that would give me any hope?
We are the very force of the earth. We will enshroud you with command over the power of the wind. And if you wield it well, you will bring kingdoms to their knees. Do you accept our gift of power, Elyd Windrider?
Well, I like how this has gone. So, went in a weird direction that I wasn't expecting. We're going to do a scene resolution roll, and we're going to see from a scene resolution roll how this goes. I'm going to go ahead and roll on our tabletop simulator, the Augur. We have 4-1. I think that might be good news. Let's find out. Scene resolution 4-1. Actually, that's a taint, so that's not good. If I do 1-4, then I need a setback. Do I have an edge that could help me here? I think I can find the wind current like no other is a perfect way to bond to this. So let's see. If I can find the wind current like no other. I'm going to spend it, and I'm going to re-roll. Ooh, 3-5. Well, 5-3 actually I think was okay. Let's go back to the book. So 3-5, 3. Oh, 3-5's not bad. We get a progress, and we also get to refresh an edge. So that's good. Let's go to our player sheet here and mark a progress, and we're going to clear that one again. That completes that scene. So just to sort of narrate this a little, he says, I do accept your gift of power, and I will take this task. So his mission has kind of changed now. I will take this task to ensure that our world does not fall to the destruction of nature. And so then he suddenly feels a chill of wind, as if wind is hitting every part of his body and even inside of him, and it sort of lifts him up into the air and spins him. And when he comes down, he feels that he not only can find wind currents, but rather can control wind currents. And so with this, he moves forward with his next step. So that is going to be our session 2. And when we come back, I think that our friend Elyd and Ednis are going to make landfall near Hope Hall. If you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe and comment, and can't wait to see you next time.